This will come out in June, which means this is taken. I think the first episode was January, so the full 6 months in between touring, which is finished. I like how we both say that it's finished, even though there's one gig left that it still needs.
Even the people booking that gig, and they're like, your tour's done.
Yeah.
That it's a whole separate. We're doing the Carlow Arts Festival.
We're doing the Carlow Arts Festival, but we had our last gig in the Spirit Store last week. And that's it. We're done. But before we get to that, the final Bertie episode, we've covered all the main bits, all of his time in power. This is really just going to be a round out of his winter years, what he did. He's kind of disappeared for the last decade.
Yeah.
Because every time he'd show his head, everyone would be like, you wind your neck in, son.
Well, that's unless you follow him on his personal website.
BertieAhern.org.
No, just Bert.I.
His personal website, Hinge. He's been gone. He's been in the hinterlands for about a decade. For good reason. But we'll talk about the last decade or so until his glorious return in 2023 for this episode. We'll put the first bit out for free, and then the rest of it behind the paywall for those fine folk on Patreon, along with all the other tribunal stuff that we did and all the other episodes that are up there.
And 100 hours of content at this
100
stage.
plus.
I can't say it more. It's a fiver for... It's literally a couple of cents per hour.
You can cancel your Disney subscription for a month, pay us a $5, and then just every time you want to sit down and watch one of your beloved childhood films, just listen to us instead. Just sit in a dark room and listen to the podcast and be like, well, at least the boys aren't funneling money to the Mossad.
Oh, no.
Well, okay, we'll talk... funneling.
I've got another NDA to tell you.
Funneling is a strong word. If a man sends money to an old friend. But anyway, here we go. The last Bird episode. You ready?
Yeah.
Some honorable mentions and extras. That'll be the name of the episode. I think, maybe. But where did we
Oh, because you didn't get to tell your Raymond Burke story on the podcast yet. That's in this. His dad.
Who? What? Ray Burke's dad?
I thought it was... Oh, no, it's not Ray. It's the Royston Brady.
Oh, yeah. Royston Brady. Yeah.
His story about his dad.
His story about his dad?
We haven't got to that yet.
Yeah. All right. That's sort of... Royston Brady... Did we even talk about Royston Brady? I think we vaguely mentioned him.
He's been in it.
He's been in it a bit. I talk about him a lot because I love his name. But I don't know how he actually made it through the edit much.
Oh, shit. Is he the Tom Bombadil of the Bertie?
He's in the long form books, but he doesn't make it to the Peter Jackson experience. He was one of Bert's close friends. We did mention.
Wait, what's a better name? Tom Bombadil or Royston Brady?
Royston Brady or Cypriot Brady was his brother. Even
Whoa!
Better again, yeah. And that guy, there's loads of them. They all are
named after where he was conceived.
Probably
the Cypriot nightclub in Balmoral.
Named after where all that money was stored by Sean Quinn. His connection is in real time. We just saw the 40th anniversary of the Dublin Monaghan bombings there in May. The biggest single attack of the Troubles, I think, in the south, under the border anyway. But during one of the European elections in the 2000s, Royston was running for it, and he had given an interview 6 months before the elections, and he was talking about the Monaghan bombings. And his dad, who was dead at that point, had told him a story when he was a kid that he had been involved in the run-up to the bombings, that he'd been held up at gunpoint by loyalist parliamentaries and forced out of his taxi, which was then used at some point in the attack. And Royston retold this story in an interview with Hot Press, I think. And then 6 months later, right before the election, it got brought up and was like, Royston Brady, scumbag. Lies about
He doesn't even have a dad.
He doesn't even have a dad. Oh, his dad's dead. Convenient. He can't back up this story. And they go after him for trying to, basically saying he was there in the Twin Towers on that fateful morning. So feel like he was just trying to tie himself into a tragedy in order to boost the election, whatever. And
Steve Renazizi himself.
Exactly. Yeah. But so he has to do, real late in the game, right before the election, he has to kind of wheel it back a bit. And he was like, well, my dad told me that story when I was a kid, and maybe he lied, or maybe I misunderstood, or I don't know. This is just always what I assumed, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause any offense, and so on. And he loses the election, not necessarily because of that, but he loses the election. And afterwards, right away afterwards, the Irish Times releases an article being like, oh, yeah, we actually checked our own archives. It turns out that did happen. He did.
Sorry, it was labelled in a file called "Not for Public Consumption."
It said, "Let's burn Brady." So I think that they're not 100% sure that it was connected, but he was. There's a article from the time with Brady's dad was held up at gunpoint the day of the thing. I don't know if there's any direct connection to it, but you could reasonably assume.
There doesn't need to be connection. What he said was true.
It's true. Yeah, it was true. And he had assumed that it was connected. And if it was or it wasn't, like, he wasn't lying about it. That's what had happened. But they made him, like, doubt that he had to do a press junket and be like, Jesus, maybe.
Imagine apologizing because you're saying your dad is a liar.
I guess maybe my dad lied to me as a kid. I'm sorry. Maybe he is a scumbag. And then you lose the election. They're like, oh, no, our bad. Turns out. You were true. But that would be in the other honorable mentions section. This is just a roundup of some of the funny things he's done. It's mostly just, a lot of it is the same note over and over again, where there's some horrible tragedy happening in the wake of the crash, where they have to announce that they've slashed funding to the puppy orphanage. And then 2 days later, they're like, pensions is due to increase. Like, it's just that over and over again, where they're like, just, yeah, we'll talk about that as we go on. But somehow we've done these whole 7 or whatever episodes. We haven't played the Rubber Bandits Bertie Ahern song.
Oh, yeah. The Cillian Murphy. Yeah. If they had promoted the fact that Cillian Murphy was in that at all, a lot more people would have listened to it.
Well, I only found out that the other day, that it's him wearing... What mask is it in?
No, he's dressed up. They just have a big beard on him and like a boil on his face. And he's wearing a hat with like fake hair.
Yeah.
But by God, it's Cillian Murphy. You can tell from the eyes.
Yeah, 180 views.
100,000, not 180. That would be.
No, I think it's 180.
That'd be properly.
Jesus, it is. Jesus, it's him and all.
Yeah.
I thought you were lying.
No.
Yeah, God, he's got the. So they've just got Cillian Murphy dressed up as like a man who looks like he's living down by the river.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is, and it's a good song.
It's a good song.
I like both of them. Because it's that and Waiting.
I really liked Waiting. Yeah, I think they came out a little.
No, they got.
No, I know, but like it was 10 years after the album.
Yeah,
I think by the time they came out. But then you say that Bobby Fingers is taken way out. I was about to say Bobby Story there. That's blowing up, and that's been a long time after the album, and obviously the Blind Boy podcast.
Yeah, but no, he mentioned it on the podcast when they came out, but then that was kind of it. They just got put together for 2 tunes and doing some, but they're good.
They are good, yeah. Like Waiting, much more sort of commercially. I really like that song.
Yeah, and then
I think it's in the playlist.
My brain goes more towards the autistic wall of sound. Bertie Ahern.
It is great.
I was like, this is my happy place.
Yeah.
This is calming.
I like that, but I can also see how it wouldn't have been maybe, as mainstream successful as Horse Outside, but just a man shouting Bertie Ahern. And it turns out that man is Cillian Murphy. But there you go. Anyway, it's a good song. We'll play it after the Patreon bit where they can't touch us. All right. But here's some bits I had missed. Because in the last episode we finished up with end of the Man Tribunal. Gráinne Carruth gives evidence. People are calling for him to step down. After that, he does get replaced by Brian Cowan. He hangs around as a member of Fianna Fáil for a while, and then resigns in 2012 after the findings of the Man Tribunal come out. But we'll talk a little bit about that interim period. Basically, this is an episode going to be from when he steps down until 2023, when he announces his glorious return, Return of the King. So this is from his autobiography that came out in 2009, where he, inexplicably could remember intricate details from his childhood, despite not being able to remember where money came from. He does a reading of it, and this is an extract from it. He reads his own autobiography.
That's good.
He didn't write it, but he reads it.
He had a ghost reader.
Yeah, because lots of people did a good Bertie at that point. He got
Mario
Rosenstock and Oliver Callan. They switch chapters, but you can tell which is which. But this is Bertie reading his own.
In December 2003, I decided it was time to reassert my leadership. I don't think they knew what hit them. Fianna Fáil parliamentary party meetings during my time had been very relaxed. But now I gave them a reminder of what life had been like in earlier times. I told them I didn't appreciate people going out on solo runs, undermining the government and the Taoiseach. Then I had a ferocious crack I've been around a long time, worked under 3 leaders, and was close to one of them, I said, referring of course to Haughey. If you want to go back to those days, I know every trick in the book. Anyone in this room who wants to come after me, then I'll come after you, one by fucking one, and I'll rivet you. I'm going to be here for some time yet, so get used to it.
There he is, hard man Bert.
That is class.
Yeah.
That is fucking
chills.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Because it is odd. Before he had dropped that line, I was like, it's mad to hear him talk. Because obviously the book's written.
Yeah.
Usually you hear Bertie talking like free flowing, where it's like the accent's more there. There's like
you don't hear his reading voice.
Yeah, and that's just hear his reading voice. It's chilling to hear a quote.
Yeah,
that it's like because he said like that's oh that is, and you wouldn't mess with him.
That's Mafia Bert back in what was he saying 2003. I want to reassert my dominance. Listen, this is a new era, but I was good friends with. Remember my pal Charlie Haughey? If you want to go back to those days, be my guest, but I'll come after you and I'll take you one by fucking one. Anyway, here's Mafia Bert.
That's so fucking good though.
It'd be great.
Again, I don't want the country to be like at the whim of a dictator, but if we had to have one,
So we'll call back to Mafia Bert. There's 2 references, I guess, one by fucking one, and then in November of 2009. He does an interview with VIP magazine. So this is, a year and a bit after he's stepped down, some would say in disgrace. He says the critics who blame the government for the economic crisis should dig the garden or grow bluebells or do something useful instead of criticising the government for the state that the country was in 2009. What's cribbing and moaning going to do?
It's better than he's rolled back on you might as well kill yourself.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't kill yourself. You should go dig the garden.
Is that just a euphemism for go dig the garden about 6 feet deep?
Yeah, exactly. Grow some bluebells. He continues to say that the Irish property bubble was not the fault of the government and that cynics and knockers, people who always see the glass as half empty. I can't understand people who are always bitching, saying it's the government's fault, it's the doctor's fault, it's the cat's fault, it's everyone's fault except their own. Which,
hey, look,
yeah,
the country, it was primed for taking. There was lads out there deciding to pull their bootstraps up.
Yeah.
Inside of those boots were littered with brown envelopes. But if you pull those bootstraps up, there was money to be made in this country. In ways that maybe now would be seen as nefarious or whatever. But at the time, they hadn't wrote the laws yet.
They weren't illegal.
If you hadn't read through the laws to know what you could get away with, that's on you.
If you weren't seizing the opportunity. But I put that, that's a great quote we can come back to over the next couple of years of his time in the public eye. Because he spends the next, he's constantly complaining and constantly being like, well, it wasn't my fault. I know I was in charge of the country, but it wasn't my fault. It was someone else. Well, what people who say it's the government's fault, it's the doctor's fault, it's the cat's fault.
Yeah, so we're going to, hey, you could blame me and just throw in 2 other things. The doctor's fault.
Exactly. It was like people dying of cancer. It was like, the doctor should have sorted me out. I was like, stop cribbing and moaning. Go grow some bluebells.
No, that is a thing, though, that in fairness, people always... It's like, people all around Ireland, but they're like, I'm the fucking doctor. He said that he had 6 months to live.
Yeah.
And he's still there now, 9 months later, still going strong. Yeah, he's on a ventilator. But they said 6 months, not 9.
He's on a ventilator, still smoking 2 packs a day. Yeah. Can't be stopped.
It's like, I'm pretty sure the doctor wants to be as honest and just give you enough. But people still don't trust doctors for that. They're like, the doctor said I was going to be dead within a year. And here I am now, 5 years later. They're like, just be happy.
Yeah.
Don't be like, no one should look at medical advice ever again because I'm an anomaly.
So or I've had an ailment for about 4 years and I just never said anything to anybody, and then finally it got to the point where I couldn't see, and the wife drove me down to the doctor's office and I went in and she just couldn't fucking do anything. They said, if we could have caught this sooner. What the hell fucking use is that telling me? Anyway, they give you 3 months to live, but I blame the cat.
He said if you had some sort of foresight. I said I've no sight.
I said, Doc, I'm blind. Anyway, he's having fun.